The first of Sunday's Premier League fixtures is in the books. Leeds United 1, Manchester United 1. Mark Donaldson alongside Janusz Michallik. And Janusz, last weekend, the theme was a game of two halves because one team dominated in one half and then the other team dominated in the second half. This is also a game of two halves because the first half was rubbish and the second half was excellent. Leeds drawing, having taken the lead against Man United, but 3 minutes later, United equalising. First of all, before we get to the minutiae of this game and everything that happened, for those people that don't know, this is a decent rivalry. These two sides and these two sets of fans don't like each other, do they?
No, they don't. We all know the history. I think it's been 23 years since Leeds last beaten United in the league. Obviously, for Leeds United, there are bigger worries, and sometimes matches like this affect the way you play, and you could see that today because Leeds United haven't taken advantage of the home crowd and the fact that Manchester United are not at their best, not just because they're missing so many players, but if you look at overall results, the situation with Ruben Amorim and the board and everything else right now. This was an opportunity for Leeds, one that they needed to take advantage of, and one that they didn't do it. And I think if you look back at this game, of course they'll take the point, but massive opportunity missed by Leeds United here.
Yeah, a first half that both sides had chances. Dominic Calvert-Lewin had a chance. Lenny Yoro had a header that was tipped over, but it was a game that just kind of meandered. There was a lot of huff and puff without real quality, but it did come to life in the second half. Why do you think that was? Were there any tweaks or changes that you saw that suddenly we had a game on our hands?
No, the space just opens up just a little bit. I mean, if you look at Leeds United, I think the message at halftime would have been, we got to show the quality that we have up front, right? I mean, here we are. This is Leeds United, who, imagine this, by the way. I mean, the position they're in, they've rested against Liverpool, arguably their two best attacking players, right? Calvert-Lewin, who scored 7 goals in 8 games now, and Noah Okafor. They've rested them at Anfield. They got a good result. So you'd imagine that here, with that rivalry that you've talked about, right? Those two and Brendan Aaronson, it would be flying. They weren't. They were almost unseen at all. If it wasn't for that header from Calvert-Lewin, which, by the way, he's got to put away. A bit unlucky. I think he's done everything right there, and just unfortunately hits the post. But aside from that, those three attacking players did absolutely nothing. So the message was, second half, obviously, lads, hey, let's have a go here. This United team doesn't have much to offer, and especially going forward, which was the case. Man United played well in the first half, given the circumstance and their availability. I think they did okay. They were the better team. And I think that's why in the second half, you start taking risk if you Leeds United, because you realize, I mean, these are big points. And how often do you have an opportunity to get all 3 points against Manchester United?
Did the formation, and we know what Amorim plays, it's 3 at the back. It was a 3-4-2-1 today. Did the formation fit the players that he selected?
Yeah, well, look, tonight's not the day that we dissect what Ruben Amorim can or cannot do. He had absolutely nothing. Funnily enough, of course, the equalizer came in right after Xerxes came in. I don't know if it was his first touch, in terms of the assist to Mateusz Cunha, but they went to 4 in the back. But I mean, in terms of tinkering, how do you do that? I mean, if you went with 4 from the beginning, then you say to yourself, he's got no options from the bench whatsoever. Obviously, the 4 in the back worked against Newcastle when they won, reverted against Wolves, God knows why, to 3 today. It was what it was because there's just nothing that he could have done differently. I mean, he could have squeezed and forced from the beginning the 4 in the back because, look, let's be honest here. Look, they played 3.5 anyway. Because Luke Shaw, he's not a wing back, that's for sure. He's often been played as a third center back. He's not that either. He's most comfortable and as a left fullback. That's the only position that he plays well, by the way. Not that he didn't play well today. I mean, but you could obviously see that there were 8-9 defensive players to start with. So I wouldn't ask too many questions of Ruben Amorim. today in terms of what formation he started with, because he had zero options there.
Let's talk the opening goal. Now, you could argue that goalkeeper Lomans showed too much of his goal, but you've still got to score it, and Brendan Aaronson did. So Leeds go 1-0 up. It was only a month ago that Leeds boss Daniel Farke, who was also under a bit of pressure, had to jump to the Americans' defence because he was coming under a bit of fire from supporters. Is everybody back in love again? Are we all happy, the Leeds fans, with Daniel Farke and Brendan Aaronson, especially after he opens the scoring here?
I don't know if they're happy. I mean, just because, everybody below is a bit of a nightmare. Leeds find themselves in a position where they have a little bit of a cushion, right? A draw away to Anfield, still a big result. But again, I'd be very, very disappointed today. For Brendan Aaronson, I mean, he's been under tremendous amount of pressure. And I think he still is to the degree, especially from fans. But he's answered the call in the last few games, right? Contributing in terms of goals and assists, important goals and important assists, by the way. So, that's good for him, not just because he's an American and it's easier for you and I to talk about it, but took advantage today of indecision. Let's be honest here. Got rewarded for finishing his run, because when he started that run, he probably thought there's no way, right? Everybody's having a go at Aiden Haven on this one. He is somewhat responsible, but for me, it was Lisandro Martinez that's guiltier, because if you watch that play in the build-up, Haven was involved. He was up the pitch a little bit. He was starting to play. And of course, when that ball went through, that was that indecision. With his pace, he should have been able to make a play on that. But Lisandro Martinez needed to slide over much, much earlier, seeing that his teammate is involved in the attack. It's 10, 15 yards in front of him. So, but Brendan, I mean, that's the beauty of it, right? Sometimes you don't think the ball's going to end up there. You take a chance and you finish the play.
This isn't the first time prior to this game that fans have had a go. Leeds fans have had a go at him. Back in the relegation season, he was a target for the Boo Boys, even when he hit a dry spell during the championship promotion spell. Why do you think he had been signalled out for targeting?
Yeah, you're not taking me there just because he's an American. I don't believe in that. If you play well,
questions.
I believe the defense will appreciate a player that plays well. Look, I mean, you can't take anything away from him in terms of his work ethic, right, and his pace and everything else. But still, I think in terms of composure, in terms of maybe being very, very consistent, right, especially on a team that's in, and it's well in the bottom half. So, look, I don't know if he's any different than, say, Calvert-Lewin's been for years, right? I mean, he's just had a great run of play, but the frustration with him, with Everton and his injuries and everything else, I think Okafor is going to come into that if he continues to play like that. And if the results go their way, even if Brendan Aaronson doesn't play at his best, I think people will forget about that, right? But when you're under pressure like this, when you're a yo-yo team like Leeds United are, I think it's it's going to be difficult. And for example, after the first half, I would have had a go at everybody. Brendan, as I've mentioned, Brendan Aaronson included, because you had three players, two of them rested, especially for this game, doing absolutely nothing. So they saved themselves. But I'll tell you what, if I'm Leeds United, if I'm Farke, I'd be totally unhappy with this result. Manchester United were here for taking. Their reaction was tremendous. That goal coming 3 minutes after Leeds United went ahead. Yeah. They're not going to get a better opportunity than this. And I'm not even talking about the rivalry, the Manchester United, but an opportunity for additional 2 points and more cushion there in terms of relegation. So this is a massive opportunity lost.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't won since an FA Cup tie in 2010, 16 years ago, and as you quite rightly said at the start, they haven't won a league game since miles ago. So less than 3 minutes, I think it was 2 minutes 51 seconds. You've got the lead. You've taken the roof off with Aaronson's goal, and then you go and concede, and not all the energy was sucked out the building, but a lot of it was. What could Leeds have done better to ensure they held the lead for longer? Because it was a brilliant response, because United changed. They brought on Xerxes, they went 4-4-2, and they got back into it. Was there anything Leeds could do to prevent that from happening?
Yeah, and I mean, again, life reaction. I'm trying to remember if it was born out on a play like this. Look, passes are going to happen. Players are going to, we can talk about lack of pressure on Xerxes. Okay, fair play. This, the ball is most important. You have to be there. But I think this is just as simple as breaking the line defensively in terms of the offside line. And I think it was born out. If fans correct me here, fair play. I was going to look that over. I can't remember, but I mean, that was that. I mean, the only pass that was there was this one, and I think Cunha going there. If Bornau stays with his line and takes a step forward, it's a clear offside, and this wasn't one of those by inches, right? I mean, Bornau was probably a yard or two behind his other teammates, so that's just that. I mean, I don't know how much more can you break it down, because it wasn't the sort of play. It was a great move by Manchester United where they had 10 passes altogether. It's just one of those that I think you break that line and you pay the price. And oh, by the way, Mateus Cunha was probably the most creative. Yes. I think the busiest of them all. Very, very good. Aside from him, I think, one player that I did want to talk about for Manchester United, after such a long absence, was Lisandro Martinez. Aside from the goal, because he could have done better there, I think he was very, very good, in particular in the first half, reading the play, breaking down plays, getting involved in the attack as well. I think that he's quickly coming back to form, which, as you know, it's not all that easy because, he's been out for such a long time. So those two, for me, the best United players.
Given what you said, Janusz, about Leeds probably won't have a better chance, especially going a goal up, what about from a Manchester United perspective? Because so many times they seem to be one step forward, two steps back. That draw at home against Wolves was a shocker. But they've gone a goal down. They've come back. They could have won it towards the end. Where does that leave us? Is it just another conversation about Man United after another draw in a game that previously they probably should have won, but these days you can never tell?
No, the crazy thing is, if it wasn't for everything that's happening with Ruben Amorim, and oh, by the way, he didn't want to speak in the press conference, that's good, because the more the talks, the worse it gets for him, right? He's a bit of a philosopher in that regard, where, you don't want to, you want to give press something, but not too much. He often does that, right? Wants to explain or mansplain the game to everybody, and that's not good. Aside from that, given the position they're in right now, and given the players that are going to be coming back right now, be it international duty, I think the injured players coming back, they're in a pretty good position. I mean, if they didn't get that equalizer today and they lose today, I think all that negativity continues, even more so than it is right now. So I think, January transfer is what it is, and people are going to talk about it because United may or may not get anybody there. But I think given the league, which is not as strong as some think this season, because for United to be up there, even Liverpool to some degree, teams, Chelsea with all their issues right now, United are sitting in the 5th place. And once they get the players back, this will give Amorim that option, because in a roundabout way, he's come around to that 4 in the back. And I think we're going to see more of that. It wasn't truly possible today. I think I see United going from strength to strength. I'm not saying that this is going to be great, Manchester United, but I think it's going to get better for them. So just as long as, Jason Wilcox and everybody else and Amorim get along to some degree, I think Manchester United, this could have been much, much worse with a loss today.
Benjamin Sesko. He scored in back-to-back games, September and October, at Brentford in a 3-1 defeat, and then at home to Sunderland. Nothing before that, nothing since that. You and I have spoke plenty about Gyökeres at Arsenal. The other player in the summer, the big striker who moved to the Premier League, was Sesko. So that doesn't sound great. However, he had the highest expected goals in this game at 0.74. He was tied for the most shots, and he had 4 touches in the penalty box. Is your glass half empty or half full with him?
I hope for the best for him, right? I mean, he's not doing his job. Maybe it's the system, maybe it's the lack of I mean, look at Højlund, right? I mean, he was another one, tried and tried and tried again. And, the game was too fast for him. It's as simple as that. People are talking, oh, look at this. Look at all the players that left Manchester United, how they play, abroad, and McTominay, okay, I think he would have been fine in Premier League. Obviously, he's used to it. But for Højlund, it's clearly the pace of the game. He couldn't cope with that. And, is Sesko going to be able to do that? Let's give him a little bit more time, I suppose. He needs that time. He deserves that time still. I think some of the stats that you've given me are positive. He should have had a goal today at the very least, right? That reaction, I think when Xerxes towards the end cut the ball back, I think it was Xerxes. I think he's going to put that on target, ask a question or two with that one. So I'm going to give him some time, but this is Manchester United, this is Premier League, and both are not going to give you too much more of time. So he may be another one that you have to put down to a bet transfer. But I wish for him, just like any player, that maybe he'll come around. Some of these players are going to be coming back right now. He's going to get that opportunity. Maybe he just needs steady time where he comes out all the time and he feels like Ruben Amorim believes in him.
Final question, and it's relating to Manchester United and defensively. That's the 15th consecutive game that they haven't kept a clean sheet when they've been on their travels. That's never happened in the Premier League before. You have to go back to April 1986. That's around the time where they had to put an SOS out for Sir Alex Ferguson to come down from Aberdeen a few months later. So that's an issue. Arsenal, many times at the start of the season, scored one, didn't concede. Is it a system change that's required? Could that help, given what we saw with the reaction after Xerxes came on and they went to a 4 and they scored? Or is it just something that is because Manchester United are what they are right now?
It could be. The system change will be positive. I think, as I've mentioned, for natural position for Luke Shaw, that's going to help him tremendously. Mm-hmm. If you're going to say Diogo Dalot, if you're going to pick a position for him, I still think it's the defensive one, right? If Mazraoui comes back, he can play the right back as well. This is on Ruben Amorim. I mean, as defensive as he is, he talks about structure. He talks about discipline. Today, you have 8-9 defensive players, still no clean sheet, right? This is a problem of Ruben Amorim of not putting the right players, right system out there. And he's been there for such a long time. Look, if things aren't going the way he wants to because he doesn't have the wing backs that he desires, look, with 3 center backs, that should be easier, right? And then you have help from the wing backs. His constant changing of center backs, even when he has everybody available, that's crazy. As a former defender, and just about everybody, I think, will say that, if there is a formation that you don't tinker with within the game, that's the one. And of course, we can say De Ligt is not there and it doesn't look like he's going to be there. I mean, we're not going to be crying about Maguire. I get it that before his injury, he was starting to look better. But for the most part, I don't think everybody's saying, oh, my God, Harry Maguire comes back, everything's going to be all good. So this is absolutely on Ruben Amorim for not only tinkering with formation, but with players, removing center backs or changing center backs within the game. That's all on him, nobody else. If they have quiet and stability and a formation where every player feels comfortable in, I think he's going to start reaping rewards. So let's put that on Amorim without any question in my mind.
Janusz, thank you. We shall be back in a couple of hours. There's 5 more Premier League games today. The late one is Manchester City against Chelsea. 4 more to come at 10 a.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. in the UK, including Fulham against a Liverpool side that doesn't have Ekitike in the squad. Cody Gakpo will start up front in a front 3. We will review that in just over 2 hours' time, myself and Janusz. But Leeds United thought when they took the lead that the long wait for a win over Manchester United would eventually be over. But then Matheus Cunha had other ideas. It finishes at Elland Road. Leeds United 1, Manchester United 1. See you shortly. Bye for now.